What if the sound you thought meant safety was the very last thing you ever heard? I remember the way the bicycle tires crackled against the gravel that evening. It wasn't loud. It was ordinary. The kind of sound you'd hear 100 times and never think twice about. Her name was Lila Moreno, 13 years old. She didn't go far, never further than the block around her house. That ride was her little ritual, the quiet loop that made her feel free. I stood on the porch as she pushed off, the front light spilling across the driveway. She waved without turning her head, hair lifting in the breeze. It was the kind of moment that felt too normal to hold on to. But the truth is, the normal details are the ones that haunt you later. The way the chain skipped once. The way the streetlight flickered as she passed under it. The way the sound of her wheels should have circled back within minutes. But never did. And I can tell you this. When the silence stretched longer than it should have, I knew something had broken. Something you can't put back. What if the person you loved most was only a few streets away, but already unreachable? The Moreno family lived in a quiet town where nights felt predictable, where neighbors waved from porches and screen doors stayed unlocked. It wasn't a place you expected to vanish in. Lila wasn't a wanderer. She was the kind of girl who counted the cracks in the sidewalk, who always circled back before her mother's tea cooled on the counter. Her world was measured in small routines. The bike ride at dusk, the scribbled sketches she taped to her bedroom wall, the promise that she'd never push the boundary further than the corner stop sign. That night, her mother, Rosa, leaned against the doorframe, watching the street stretch into the dark. She told herself it was just another ride, just another loop. But even in the safety of their small town, the stillness felt heavier than it should have. Her brother, Mateo, checked his phone, refreshing again and again as if a new message might appear. A text that said, "Coming back," but no message ever arrived. The porch light kept burning, pouring over the driveway like a beacon, but no bicycle came back into view. In that silence, a truth began to grow. Not loud, not sudden, but slow and merciless. The kind of truth you feel before you admit it. How far can you travel on a familiar road before it stops feeling safe? The bicycle tires whispered over cracked pavement, each turn of the pedals steady, practiced. Lila knew this loop, the faded stop sign at the corner, the mailbox with peeling paint, the one house where the porch light never worked. But that night, the air felt different. The wind carried no crickets, no dogs barking in the distance. Just silence. A silence too wide for such a small street. As she passed the gas station at the edge of the block, the fluorescent light flickered, buzzing once, then dying back into shadow. Her reflection rippled in the dark glass window. A girl moving fast but looking smaller than she felt. That's when she noticed it. The low hum of an engine behind her. Not close, not far, just steady. She pedaled harder, her chain skipping once before catching again. The sound followed. Every corner she turned should have brought her closer to home. Instead, each one seemed to stretch the street longer, darker, unfamiliar. And when she glanced over her shoulder, the beam of headlights swept the pavement, refusing to disappear. What does waiting feel like when the seconds no longer behave? Back at the Moreno house, the porch light spilled across the driveway, a steady glow against the dark. Rosa stood at the kitchen window, her tea untouched, hands resting flat on the counter as if pressing down could quiet the unease rising in her chest. Mateo sat on the front steps, phone balanced in his palm, refreshing the screen again and again. No new message. No small "be right back." Just silence. At first, they told themselves it was nothing. Maybe she circled twice, maybe she stopped to tighten her shoelace, maybe she was laughing with a neighbor. But the minutes began to stretch in unnatural ways. 10 minutes felt like 30, 30 like an hour. The sound of a car passing by made Rosa's breath hitch. But it wasn't her daughter's bike. A dog barked down the street, then quieted. The world felt as if it was deliberately withholding something. Mateo glanced at the end of the block. The spot where her light always reappeared. Stayed empty. Too empty. And in that hollow stillness, the first layer of denial cracked. What do you feel when the thing you prayed to find turns up broken, abandoned, and alone. The first search began just after midnight. Flashlights cut across ditches and backyards, neighbors calling her name into a night that refused to answer. It was a volunteer who spotted it first, the bicycle, tipped against a chain-link fence at the far edge of the block. The front wheel spun lazily, catching the beam of a flashlight before slowing. To a stop, the seat was scuffed, the handlebars scraped as if it had been dragged instead of ridden. Rosa reached it before anyone else. Her hand shook as she touched the cold metal, whispering her daughter's name as if the frame itself might whisper back. But the bike gave nothing. No child nearby. No sign of footsteps leading away. Minutes later, police marked the spot, but the scene felt wrong. The bike wasn't left in a hurry. It was placed, almost arranged, as if someone wanted it found. And then came the detail that tore through every ounce of hope. A corner store camera only 2 streets away had caught her riding past. Lila in motion, pedals turning, and right behind her, a dark vehicle trailing at a distance. The footage ended there. She entered the frame, but she never left it. I remember the deputy lifting something from the grass. At first, I thought it was nothing, just trash scattered by the wind. But when the flashlight beam steadied, I saw them. Her sneakers, white canvas, laces still knotted, and the soles damp from the evening dew. The sight hollowed me. Who leaves their shoes behind when the night is cold? It was like she had stepped out of them mid-stride, as if forced, as if pulled away by hands we couldn't see. Whispers surged around me. A neighbor muttered, "She wouldn't walk barefoot. Not here. Not now." The fear in his tone cut deeper than the dark. I kept thinking, did she run until she couldn't anymore? Or was she carried away, silenced before she could scream? And here's what unsettled me most. Her shoes were warm when I touched them. Not long abandoned. That meant we'd just missed her. But where was she now? When the search stalled, attention shifted to the one place no one wanted to mention, her home. I remember stepping inside. The air thick, walls heavy with a quiet that didn't belong. The table was set for dinner. A half-filled glass of iced tea sat untouched. The ceiling fan turned slow, slicing through the stillness. Her father stood in the doorway, his hands trembling against the frame. He kept repeating, "She wouldn't run. Not my daughter. She wouldn't." His words cracked under the weight of something he wasn't ready to say. I scanned the living room. Nothing overturned. No struggle. Just a space frozen in time, waiting for her return. And yet, the absence screamed louder than any violence could. A detective whispered near me, low enough for only a few to hear. "Sometimes the quiet homes hide the loudest secrets." That sentence never left me, because as days turned into weeks, every lead dissolved, every clue blurred, and the truth, it still hides in the shadows of that night. Her shoes, the bike, the silence. All that remains is the question no one can answer. What happened after she never made it home? And if you think you're ready for more of these stories, subscribe now to The Veil of Secret.